All right, happy Wednesday, November 20th. This is the Committee for Persons with Disabilities Advisory Committee. I'm going to do a quick shout out to my father, who's turning 75 today, Vietnam veteran. Okay. So thank you for attending. If you are online, thank you, Jessica and Elaine, for coming in. You guys have made it so we can, so I appreciate you. Thank you, everyone, for being here, Todd and Katie, and folks that are hanging out in the gallery. I call this meeting to order. This is our regular agenda meeting for November. I'm going to read a statement. Just cause. Do we have a just cause for consideration of a request to participate remotely for emergency situations or circumstances?
We do not. One committee member has requested an accommodation due to disability and has been granted.
Perfect, thank you. Agenda 3, we are going to vote on our October meeting minutes. Has everybody had an opportunity to read the meeting minutes? That includes Jessica and Elaine. Yes. Questions, comments, concerns? I'm good. I make a motion to approve the minutes from October.
I second.
Perfect. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Any abstains? Outstanding, motion passes. Thank you.
Did we lose Jessica? Oh, there she is. Did Jessica vote?
Sorry, I on Jessica's end.
Okay, Jessica, unfortunately, in order for us to maintain quorum, you have to stay on video.
I can't talk and be on video at the same time. My device doesn't allow it. So
Okay, so
can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I just have to switch screens to be able to speak and then switch right back to the video.
Did she vote? Was she able to vote?
Were you, did you vote for the passage of the meeting minutes?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. We're going to move to agenda item number 4. This is our non-agenda comments section. The members of the public may address a county issue not elsewhere on this agenda. Each speaker may take up to 2 minutes. Speakers may be limited to less time if several speakers have requested to speak on the same issue. The Committee for Persons with Disabilities is prohibited by the Brown Act from acting on or voting on any issue that is not already on the agenda unless deemed to be urgent. Do we have any public comments?
Madam Chair, I have a non-agenda comment just to inform the committee that in next month's meeting, the digital experience team is looking to present to the committee with background on the enterprise-wide website re-engineering. So the goal is to make the web property, the County of San Diego web property, a more user-friendly, more community-oriented, and so they wanted to present some progress as well as background on direction. So that'll be coming up in the December meeting.
Great, thank you. Anyone else? Anyone online? Non-agenda. Going, gone. Great. We're going to move to agenda item number 5. We have, or hope to have, Danielle Vasquez from the Office of Emergency Services, Flood Emergency and Fire Preparedness.
Yeah, so that this is going to be tabled because we're using it another version of the agenda that was posted. So this was pulled from the agenda for a future meeting.
Okay. So that's just a typo. Correct? Okay, great. Okay, do we have Jana Schwartz from Sustainable Land Use Framework Planning and Development Services?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. Okay. Well, really appreciate having space on your agenda today to speak with the Committee for Persons with Disabilities. As mentioned, my name is Jana Schwartz, and I am joined today by McKenna Welsh, and both of us are senior planners with long-range planning within Planning and Development Services with the County of San Diego. And our primary responsibility is working on what's called the Sustainable Land Use Framework, and we abbreviate that to framework, so I will use framework in this presentation. So of course, we always hope that this is not the first time that you've heard about the project, but it very well might be. And so the purposes of today is I'd love to provide you with a background on what the project is, and then it just becomes more familiar over time, because we'd love to come back and continue this relationship and have you as invested stakeholders in this project as it evolves. So very quickly, and then I'll go into more details about the framework. This is intended to be a resource to inform decision makers on land use policies and practices that ensure that sustainability and equity really remain at the forefront of planning and land use decisions currently and moving forward. Being in that we're in long range planning, we're really trying to set the vision for where the county will be going in the next 40 to 50 years. And we'd love for current members of our community to make sure that you are a part of that visioning. We are doing this by looking at the county's general plan, and if you're not familiar, that's really the guiding document for planning and development. And it's a great document, but it was last updated in 2011, and as we know, the world has gone through many changes, and we're currently facing a lot of challenges in the sphere of climate crises and housing crises. So there's a lot of room for growth and opportunity, especially as we do also look at sustainability and equity and making sure that all of that is woven into how, again, we look at land use and planning. So this is not supposed to be a duplicate effort of anything that the county is doing. We're really trying to look at this holistically and making sure that we're elevating opportunity as much as possible. So as you can see in the slide, and you do have a printout of the slide deck with you, and I'll make sure that you are sent this as well. But I just want to go over a little bit more background with you, look at the timeline for this project. It's not brand new. We have been working on it for a bit of time, but I really want to bring you in at a very crucial moment and then make sure that you're on this train with us moving forward. And then just ways for you to stay involved in how we can continue this relationship. So with that, we can go to the next slide. Thank you, Todd, for being my Vanna White. So yeah, I can tell. So this is just a little bit more background for you. So this is a board directed item, and it was directed in February of 2022. So like I said, it's not brand new. But we've really been doing a lot of research and collection and some initial information gathered from the community. But as mentioned, this is really a pivotal time to get more input and expertise, which is why we're here with you today. So we're evaluating land use from the intersection of understanding that, again, the housing and the climate crises are big. And this framework is intended to aid the county in how we navigate this and balancing the various actions. As we know, they are making lots of decisions all the time. So how do we make sure that future land use and planning is strongly considered in all of those really massive decisions? So we can go, yeah, perfect. Never mind, you're there, Todd. Thanks. So it's serving as this responsive and comprehensive tool for future land use and planning. And we'll give one more click or two more clicks now. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, and it's also operating as a proactive guide. So it provides this forward-looking vision for planning development. And I want to just pause and remind that we are looking at just the unincorporated area. Planning and development services, our jurisdiction is just the unincorporated area. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in later slides, but just want to make sure that you're aware of that. There are lots of really impressive and important programs currently happening. Recently, the Climate Action Plan was approved, and so that's just one example of that's a current planning effort that happened within our department. But this framework kind of then takes it into what's next. So using that as an example, the Climate Action Plan is happening now, and the framework is what we can do moving forward. Third click for me, Todd, is we're looking to be very comprehensive. And so we're using an integrative and an iterative approach by really collaborating with you all, with other stakeholders across the county enterprise. This does not just live within planning and development services. We're working very closely with Human Health and Services Agency, HHSA, as well as Parks and Recreation, the financial groups, all of it. So it really touches everybody. And so internally, there's a lot happening, and then externally with our partners. And then lastly, our last click here is we want to ensure, and you'll hear this a lot as I talk, that equity and sustainability remains at the forefront of these decisions, because we do want to make sure that we're holding ourselves accountable and addressing that there are historical, current, as well as potential future inequities. So our next slide looks at a timeline here. So this is just showing where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. So in September of this year, the board received a memo that included details on the sustainable land use framework's focus areas, goals, and objectives. So you'll notice we kind of use STEP as our way of talking about the different elements where we're at. So the first one was sustainability principles. That's sort of the visioning of what is the framework. The second step, focus areas, goals, and objectives. In the handout that you were provided, so not the slide deck, but the other one, it lists all of the focus areas, goals, and objectives that the board saw and approved to. And so you can kind of see where maybe some of your thoughts and ideas maybe can help us move into the next component of how we implement these goals and objectives, which is where we're now at step 3, approaches and mechanisms. Approaches are really shown as kind of the pathway for how we will be achieving the goals and objectives. So these may be policy recommendations, regulatory changes, incentive programs, or maybe community engagement initiatives. And then mechanisms are the tools or the instruments for which those approaches are implemented. So up to this point, we've really been working at this 10,000 foot scale of what are we doing? What's our foundation? What do we want this to look like? And now we really need to work with members of our community to help us get to, and now what? How do we make sure that what we implement moves the needle and makes progress? So those are the approaches and mechanisms, and we'll be working on that for the next year. We are just getting started with that just this month, and then moving forward. And our hope is to go to the board in 2025 in the summer to provide those approaches and mechanisms. So this is where it's a great opportunity to hopefully have another meeting with you all to have a more in-depth discussion and really be intentional about getting your ideas for what those approaches and mechanisms may be. And then just closing this out, I'm sorry, one more thing really fast is after we do the approaches and mechanisms, it'll go into creating options that the board will decide how the framework gets implemented, and then into 2026 is where that implementation would start. Okay. So the sustainable land use framework, as mentioned, is in the unincorporated area. And so whether you might live there, but maybe you visit activities or locations in those areas, we know that life is very fluid. It doesn't stop at the border of a city limit or the unincorporated area. We move throughout communities all the time, and we have different experiences with that. So even if you're not a resident on the unincorporated area, I'm sure you have a familiarity with this location. So part of me coming here today is to confirm that it's really important to us that we have awareness of disabilities and that accessibility is essential parts of the framework, especially elevating that it helps make it a more equitable product. We want to make sure that when attention is given to disabilities, that we also acknowledge that spaces and communities can be supportive of everybody and enjoyed by everybody. And so there's a lot to celebrate and be proud of there. So within planning and development services, there's a lot that we can learn from you all, and we definitely I speak on behalf of this project, but also Planning Development Services, that we hope this is the first of many visits with this group. I like this graphic a lot. The Center of Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC, reminds us as planning staffs how we can be more upfront and intentional about how we go about engagement when it comes to planning and development. And so this is just one way of acknowledging that. I think we just kind of need to change our mindset a little bit of what our approaches are. And I hope that you will help be partners in that. So with that, I'll just close out here. This was supposed to be a brief presentation, and I do hope our next visit is a little bit more extended and we can have more dialogue. But I want to keep you as involved as possible. So you have a handout with you that has a little bit more information about the goals and for a future conversation there. And of course, if there's any way that I can support you all with either having a one-on-one conversation, diving into and see if there's any questions.
Your partnership is important to us. As in the unincorporated areas, or Chula Vista, Poway, whatever, has equitable access to county programs. So my question is to eliminate barriers, add access to accessibility, equitable, and those with disabilities. Is this program considerate of the fact that the majority of unincorporated areas that are inequitably targeted by the County of San Diego, for example, solar programs, new window programs, et cetera. Rural East County is prohibited because they are not on the climate equity index map. So my question is that if you're going to come into the unincorporated areas, Santee, Lakeside, Poway, Ramona, et cetera, when does the equitable barrier get removed via the climate equity index map to where rural East County people can access county programs that they are barred from? So if you're coming in to do a framework that you're going to put in no matter what, there's 4,400 disabled veterans just in Lakeside alone. And because of that, none of them have any access to San Diego County programs, kind of like the ones I had mentioned. So I love that you're talking, eliminating barriers and all that stuff. When does that barrier get eliminated if you're coming out into rural East County?
Yeah, no, thank you for that. And I will add that I'm also born and raised unincorporated, and my parents live in that community still. So this is very personal and dear to my heart as well. And I understand the challenges that you're voicing. I will say when we talk about equity, there is not a set in stone criteria that we're currently holding ourselves to. I think there's a lot to be discussed when it comes to equity and how we're making that determination. And it also does not need to be a cookie cutter determination where we're, painting it across the entire unincorporated area. We can look specifically at locations like Lakeside, be different from Alpine, be different from Ramona. And so that's a conversation that we would love to have with you as a representative of a community. Maybe there's, we go to the community planning and sponsor groups as well as a part of this effort, maybe having a conversation in that setting too. Because you also articulate a lot of really great data points that we just don't have. And so how do we make sure that we're using that to really show and bolster the importance of what we're talking about? And so I think The last thing I just want to say is a lot of what you're saying, I think could definitely be translated into these approaches and mechanisms because they're very concrete items that we need to bring up and actually talk about how it gets integrated into an effort like this. So I would just say I would love to continue that. I don't have a perfect answer right now, but I think there's a lot that could be explored together.
Thanks for saying it that way, because I've been trying to get this lifted, for better than a year. I was on the Lakeside, Community Planning Group, elected to that slot. And it was never removed. And so the amount of folks that are, I were raised in Santee, my parents still live in Santee, my father's a Vietnam veteran, my father's a disabled veteran. There are 6,200 disabled have no access to any of the San Diego County programs. So if you're going to start to come into the unincorporated community and put things in there,
I wanted to also, I didn't in the introduction, I didn't introduce Jana fully, but Jana contacted me because she's actually familiar with the committee because she had presented from her prior role with Aging and Independent Services. And when she took on this project, she said, Todd, do you think we can include the Committee for Persons with Disabilities on this? So kudos to Jan and her team for doing that.
Thank you. Yeah. Trying, we're doing our best. We appreciate your patience and your partnership.
I see we have something in the chat, so I just want to make sure that there's no questions in the chat for.
Well, thank you so much and hopefully we see you soon.
I'll send it. If you would, make sure that, fabulous Katie has your contact info, and Katie, if you wouldn't mind doing an email intro. So, we can further the dialogue for that. I appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time. Outstanding. We are on to agenda item number 7. Jessica. Jessica, you are on mute.
Okay, am I off mute?
You're off mute and I can kind of hear you.
Okay, hold on. It's having trouble with my bandwidth. Can you hear me better now?
I hear you now. This is like a Verizon commercial.
Okay, wonderful. Is this the checklist?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what we're looking to do is meet the committee's goal of making recommendations to the Board of Supervisors. So rather than just focusing on this checklist, which I did send a copy of to Todd, what Carolyn and I spoke about earlier when I was getting my ADA debrief for the meeting is the importance of us sending a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors that encompasses the work that we've done around disability rights in law enforcement and the district attorneys. And that emphasis really is on Senate Bill 338, the Senior and Disability Justice Act, and also the AB 449 Disability Hate Crime remodeled policy that really places a special emphasis on disability hate as the invisible hate crime. And while people with disabilities are the most abused among all categories of abuse, they are the least represented in justice, in police reporting and in prosecuting. And the emphasis on both SB 338 and AB 449 is around very specific law enforcement mandated elements to every law enforcement agency's policies around senior and disability accommodation or victimization. and ensuring that every potential crime against a person with a disability is investigated as a crime rather than dismissed as potentially a civil matter or a crime of opportunity, and that every investigation under the Senior and Disability Justice Act would also have, it does have in the law also a mandatory investigation for suspected hate crime, bias, or motivation. And then AB 449, the hate crime policy, it just re-emphasizes the specifics around having a disability lens when considering what a disability hate crime is, because disability hate is very different than other forms of hate. And both of the Senate bill and Assembly bill give very great guidance on what the disability lens is for potential hate crime, bias, or motivation. And so what we want to do is, as a committee, if everybody else wants to do this, is, you know, really put together a one-pager that emphasizes those two laws and lets the supervisors know that those laws exist and that there is a problem with compliance, however we want to put it. If somebody wants to reword it in a positive way, our law enforcement agencies need to be both held accountable and given proper guidance so that they can execute these policy mandates as is mandated by law. And so we really can bring justice to the San Diego County community of people, seniors and people with disabilities. Thank you.
So thank you for that. Jessica and I went through many months of iterative conversations with the DA and also with her outside committee activism and mine on the veteran side. And of course, you can see up on the screen is our commingled, very detailed document that's that we have decided to table from committee and summarize a Board of Supervisors letter about what this is, because what, oh, Jessica, you gotta stop talking now. Sorry. So what we've decided is there's no reason to continue having updates on it when with the committee as a whole, we're not solving this problem. So we are going to summarize all that her and I have put together. We're going to put it into a one-page document to the Board of Supervisors and then let the Board of Supervisors sort that out while we, as independent activists, I don't even like using that word, it sounds weird, but as independent people and even the board folks on the outside can continue to work on this with the DA and our law enforcement partners, but it doesn't need to remain on the agenda with a constant checkup. So that way we can get it off the agenda, we can get the action item of a letter to the Board of Supervisors of what the issues are, so that the Board of Supervisors can distill it and reach back out to us if they want to have more information. That is hosted in this document.
Just to clarify, Chair, the is the intent to provide a document or two documents to the district attorney's office as well as the letter to the board? Is that
correct? But what we're finding is that with the DA and fantastic folks, but this can go on for 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, 9 months. And so my goal is to send deliverables to the Board of Supervisors. And the deliverable for this topic is going to be a one-page letter to the Board of Supervisors that's going to summarize all that her and I have worked on, so that at the end of the year, that's going to be one of our deliverables that we can kind of look back on. So yes, we're still, the DA and our law enforcement partners, we still absolutely partner with them, but we just don't need it on the agenda when we don't have updates, because it's going to take quite a while.
I think the documents that were on the agenda are ready.
Right, but I'll caveat with that, and Jessica, please stop me if this is, if I'm speaking out of turn, but, because this was crafted, part of this document was crafted outside of the committee by, a group that has, not legal license to it, I mean, they do, that it seems, that we need to, pull apart this document and submit part of the document, whereas the other part of the document wants to be retained by the original crafter.
Oh, so the disability checklist is not going to be presented by the Committee for Persons with Disabilities. The list of disabilities, I'm a little bit,
Right,
I just
I-
want to clarify, because there was the list of disabilities that you created.
Right, so I'm happy to push that forward. The other piece that was crafted by Jessica, was really crafted, as I understand it from her, over a course of a year, years, whatnot. And it's more, I'm gonna loosely use the term proprietary,
Okay.
right? And so what I don't want, yeah, so what I don't, yeah, okay, perfect.
Can I chime in real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously we're all learning, and I'm learning a lot about, what my role is in the committee and what it is in the community and how the two come together. One of the things that some of our more knowledgeable members like Susan have brought up in many committee meetings over this past year while we've had new members is that we need to rely on different forms of already vetted out best practices. And so I'm more than happy. I would love to bring the checklist forward. I just want to make sure that I'm being very ethical and responsible about something being crafted in the community that I'm involved in and how that gets brought forth or adopted by the committee. So in my thinking, that I would like the committee to use it how the committee wants, whether they want it to be educational for themselves, whether the committee wants to adopt it and as a something that they think is a valuable document and move that forward to the Board of Supervisors. My biggest concern was just making sure that I was in the right lanes. And so maybe if I need to recuse myself from a vote for the committee to adopt the document, I'm very open. I do want to share it. I just wanted to make sure that I was being appropriate.
So we had an item, a committee item that was to develop the disability checklist. And then the concept was for the, a subcommittee or a couple of people to develop that document and then bring it forward for the committee to determine, to make any input on, and then to make a decision as to adopt it. So then if that's still an opportunity for the committee, it would be appropriate. If that's no longer an opportunity for the committee, then that's understood as well.
It's for my piece of it, that's still my goal, right? Because, it makes no sense that we have, put the work in and it's just goes back into our pocket. So I see a two-pronged approach to where, whatever Jessica wants to, scrub from this document, I'm gonna give her the opportunity to do that so that the next meeting, when we put this forward, it's gonna be a document that she's comfortable with, I'm comfortable with. And the same thing she said, if it's a recusal, I can do that myself. I have no issue with that. But we're going to put forth a document, but we're also going to, in the interim, craft a one-page, to the Board of Supervisors, just as a, hey, this is a, whatnot. Her and I wanted to make sure that we weren't as on our outside lives and what we do in those outside lives that we're, like she said, we're staying in our lane and we're not, doing anything unethical or, pushing something through that somebody may say, oh, hey, I told you that, a couple of months ago, you're using it now under your, banner of committee. So we just want to make sure that, we're doing the right thing. Yes, ma'am.
I would like
Yeah.
to,
Microphone.
no, it's fine.
It's on.
It's on. Is that any better? Sort of.
Just wanted for the recording.
I would like to say, there's lots of ways to integrate other documents from other agencies, other individuals. And I think you can recognize that as a footnote or a, whatever in the introduction, that it was a collaboration, which we are doing anyway, and we want to encourage collaboration. So I would say that you might get away with it that way if people give you permission. And that you just acknowledge the name of the individuals or organization. And I would also, a side issue, I would love to have dates, either at the bottom or at the top of all of the things we look at, because we get about 5 or 8 iterations.
Yeah.
And it behooves me then to say, that is done. Don't look at it again. We have a newer version. But I do that because there's dates on things that were handed out and discussed at meetings.
That is a great point that I literally just wrote down. And the footnote thing is fantastic. When I had crafted this document in partnership with, Jessica, I wasn't really, I'm a little bit new too, as far as this piece goes. So, my first attempt was crafted in partnership with the Committee for Persons with Disabilities, but I really do agree, with Jessica's point and your point, is that it's really, a credit could be the right word, but it's also, acknowledgement of, acknowledgement and permission. So Jessica and I, we talked at great length, in our last conversation, about doing that. So this document's only gonna get better. It's gonna add, like you said, footnotes, great idea. I didn't think about that one. So footnotes and credits, and then, when Jessica provides the permission for her piece, then we will, so maybe we can leave this on, the agenda for another round. You guys know me by now. I really love action, put something out, get something done, and move to the next. So, thank you, Jessica, for your partnership on that, and our long, awesome calls that we have. So without that, everybody tracking on what direction we're taking on that one?
So it sounds like between yourself and Jessica, you all are going to come back with another version of what will move forward.
Yeah, because this is too important. But like I said, we needed to address it with you guys, to make sure like I said, we're in the lane. And so long as we're in the lane, then it really is up to Jessica about what she wants to, and her and I will chat with that offline, but yes, to your answer. Or to your
And
question.
then as well, a board letter, summarizing.
Correct.
Initiatives.
Correct. Yeah, because like I said, this, it could take another 2 months to, get it developed with holidays and all this other stuff. So I'm such an advocate for having a deliverable to Board of Supervisors, because that is our core, mission here.
Yeah,
Right.
can I just add in, I think the most important part of communicating to the supervisors right away is the actual context of what these items, what the checklist is for. And that's really getting into the nitty gritty of, giving guidance to law enforcement or the average prosecutor, but it's not explaining to the Board of Supervisors context. And the context is that there are 2 state laws with 2 mandatory police policies, and those laws and policies are not being actualized in the community, and seniors and people with disabilities are being hurt and left out of justice because of it. And so what we needed to do was just take a step back and be able to put it within a context of the larger issue so that we can move that forward to the supervisor's attention while we work through details. That's all.
Thank you, Jessica, on that. Any other questions? Good to go? All right, thank you for that. We are going to agenda item number 8. It is the nomination election of committee secretary. I know you guys are still super stoked and excited, and you're just chomping at the bit to be our committee executive secretary. Please, for the love of all that's good in the world.
Did you want, Chair, did you want to speak about?
Yes, thank you for that
yeah.
prompting. Jeanette and I and Todd and I and Katie and I have come together and had a meeting of the minds, and typically secretary duties would be inclusive of typing meeting minutes, attending the pre and post committee phone calls that we have in addition to this meeting. But what we've decided is that because Katie takes the most awesome notes on the whole wide planet, that the person who is going to be a secretary is not going to be required to take the meeting minutes, and coming to the pre and post meeting committee meeting is going to be more at their leisure. If they can attend, that's great. If they can't, we're not going to place it in a requirement. We typically would, but because we're still so small and we don't have a secretary, we're trying to narrow the focus a little bit more so we can actually get a secretary. So if we have to make a few adjustments until we get a full breadth of folks here, we're gonna narrow the job down to what I need you to do is write, and not write, correction. I need the crafting of the letters, say for the board supervisor and for those that are in attendance for the acknowledgement of thank you for attending and speaking and whatnot. And those documents are not going to be crafted from new. They're going to be crafted from a template that we'll happily provide to the secretary, so that really they're just kind of plugging and playing a paragraph, maybe 2, and that's about it. So it takes the burden off Jeanette and I to craft those documents while we're doing all of the other things that we are required to do while we're here. So hopefully that will entice someone to step forward and help become part of our executive committee, and take that off our table for Jeanette and I to do. So at that,
There's
oh, yeah, we have
Chair member.
Yeah, just, I don't understand why that needs to be a position. We have always taken on tasks.
Right.
As individual members in the committee. And if when someone is saying, can somebody draft this? That's what people have done. It hasn't been where, I mean, it just seems if we're doing a title on the executive committee, that would be the full job. But if all they're doing is occasionally drafting a letter, it's something that all of us do.
Great question. Unfortunately, nobody actually crafts letters for us except for Jeanette and I. And part and parcel of our policies and procedures within our documents,
Our bylaws.
our bylaws, we are required to have, we have always been, this committee has always been required to have a full executive staff, which is inclusive of having a secretary. So It would be awesome just to point to somebody and say, hey, write this letter for us. That actually does not happen. And because that does not happen, in order to lessen the workload of a very heavy workload of Jeanette and I, and to follow the guidelines of our bylaws that we agreed upon and passed, and we have to adhere to, we need to have a secretary.
Just for the record, people I have crafted.
And that's,
So it's not that
In
we're
the past,
doing
Michelle, we have had that. I understood that when I came on. However, and I think there were maybe a couple of meetings you missed. We've been through bylaws, and it's in our bylaws that we approved. So, I think that's the way the committee has decided to go. I think it's a load, but I'm willing to volunteer if all I have to do is cut and paste. And I have samples and a word given to me,
I'm so excited.
because I am not, I don't, it's my worst favorite thing, worst. I always have people to do this for me,
You are our
but
people.
I have done a lot of consulting, and I worked out of my home for 5.5 years for an organization in Washington DC. I had to do it, so I understand it. But it's hard, and my husband is my tough guy, which is challenging. So I will do my best. And I appreciate what I heard last time, that I am gonna clarify, is Katie is gonna have a baby. And we're gonna do it then.
She has a fantastic fill-in, that was at a previous meeting or two. So she's dialed that individual in, and they're still going to do the meeting minutes.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying that for me. It wasn't, on that conversation. So I'll do it, and just support me, please. And I will do my best.
With that being said, I'd like to nominate to be secretary of our committee.
Outstanding. So, what I want to make
Is there
sure
a
I do,
second?
We have,
hold fire, I want to see if anybody else is interested,
Yeah.
because I don't want to, Todd, you jumped the gun. Look, I did
Yes.
one thing right. This is
Yes.
great. I feel like an adult right now. I want to make sure if there are any of our committee members that are online, if they would like to self-nominate for the position of executive secretary. Go. Going once, going twice. Quiet soul, okay. And we have a second somewhere.
no, we don't have a second.
Um,
We need a second.
I second the nomination for Susan as executive secretary for the Committee of Persons with Disabilities.
And we'll do a roll call vote on that.
Yes, please.
Dr. Smith, how do you vote?
Absolutely, yes.
Jeanette,
Yes.
Michelle,
abstain.
Jessica,
Yes, absolutely. Yay, thank you.
and Sue.
Yes, I can vote for myself, yes.
This is so exciting.
The vote passes.
Yay, yay. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm gonna hug you when we're done.
I hope you can thank me after I do that.
You know what?
And one thing, Sue, so you'll craft it, and then once it is approved and then presented to the committee, once it's approved, we'll print it, and then.
Yeah.
We have that.
Yeah.
So literally, I can just do a plain Word document.
Well,
maybe.
I don't want to interrupt you, but what we're going to do is, and we've discussed this before, we're gonna have a file of templates
Yeah,
That is my hope, because I don't want anybody here as volunteers to reinvent the wheel, but we need to get things done. So, we have, or are going to have, a template for, a thank you letter, thank you for appearing. And then Jeanette wrote a fantastic one that had action items to the individual that presented. And so you'll have, we'll have the template, the format, and then worst case is you send it to us and you're like, I'm stuck.
yeah.
We'll totally backfill it.
And we can talk offline.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
So we want to make it as awesome as possible. And thank you for volunteering for that. That's huge for us. Congratulations, Madam Secretary.
Money.
All right, so with that being said, we are going to agenda item number 9, which is our committee business. Our annual report to the board of supervisors and submission of bylaws to the board of supervisors. Emery.
So what we've done for the annual report is we did get your signed your signature on the cover letter for the annual report, and then each member has the final, but it doesn't have a date on it. I don't think it has a date on it, but it has the final annual report version that will be submitted to scan and then submitted into to the board of supervisors.
So do you need anything else from the committee? Because I signed that document, that's what I signed.
Right.
Do you need anything else from us?
No, the annual report was approved previously.
Okay.
If anyone has any issues with the letter, I guess the letter could be voted on by a voice vote.
I was going to say that when I saw it attached, I believe, yes, Katie sent it out and I read it. There were things in it that were from after July 1 of this year. And the annual report is from, my understanding, July 1, 23 through June 30, 24.
Correct.
And we have the district attorney thing. And I know she came a couple of times. I don't know if we have-
Yeah, that was in June. Let's see, I can,
Stuff. So I'm a little, I want to make sure we're tight on that, because that should just roll over into next year's annual report.
Okay, you're not talking about the cover letter, you're talking about the report.
Yes,
Okay, okay.
All of the items, from the department presentations to the committee were taken directly from the minutes from July through June. And we did have, presentations from people on several occasions.
right.
So these were from those minutes.
Okay. So those are tight then, and this is again, I believe, a different version than was sent out to the committee prior to the meeting to review before I got here. And I'm not trying to ding anybody. I'm trying to say, once again, what I've said before, if I can have the information ahead of time that's going to be printed for the meeting, that we're going to be voting on for the meeting, it helps me.
so there was some formatting.
Yeah,
We did some formatting, but nothing substantive to the meaning of the document.
answer. Thank you very much. And I don't know that, and I'm not going to assume that. Thank you.
Sure.
Does that solve the?
Yeah,
because you read exactly what we did, that he just adjusted, or his team just adjusted the format.
Got it.
I'm doing a quick once over and it is, things have been moved down, but the language is exactly the same.
Great.
Okay. And
And
then, even,
we brought that, and there was some stuff that, in the front end of it about what, so that's all in the introduction now, about the whole, sort of background of who we are or something that we thought we would integrate into the annual report.
right, so that's the cover letter.
Oh, that's,
But this first paragraph
Oh,
of the cover letter is also in the first paragraph of the annual report.
that's fine.
Yeah,
So you're.
it just highlights it.
That's the cover, that's the actual.
Okay, and it is Article 3N.
Yes,
That looks odd to me.
it is Article 3 and
Okay, thank you.
So did you have an opportunity to look at that? Because if,
No, I don't think I've seen this. Maybe I did, I don't know. Let me look real quick. Yeah, this is good. These are all the things that we lifted from the,
Yeah, Todd, do we need to vote on the cover letter?
yes,
Okay. So
Voice
we
vote, just a voice
just
vote.
read it to Michelle first. Right? Okay. Can I go ahead and do that? Yeah. Okay. So it's addressed to the 5 supervisors by name from Dr. Carolyn Smith. Annual report of the San Diego County Committee for Persons with Disabilities. Article 3N of San Diego County Code of Administrative Ordinances established the San Diego County Committee for Persons with Disabilities as a community advisory group to promote the policy of and to provide an open forum for discussion and action for the County of San Diego to assure the self-determination of persons with disabilities, provide persons with disabilities with the resources and educational services necessary to enable them to achieve their fullest potential, and to provide them with an equal opportunity to participate fully in the social and economic benefits to our society. The committee has the responsibility to, and this is lifted from, this is just it's a cut and paste basically from the ordinance. The committee has the responsibility to study and evaluate county charter provisions, ordinances, policies, and proposed policies to determine their implication for persons with disabilities. 2, study areas of concern as they pertain to the lives and needs of persons with disabilities. These may include, but are not limited to, coordination of client support systems, health, education, employment, recreation, housing, transportation, architectural barriers, safety-related matters. 3, conduct workshops for county personnel and community groups. 4, participate in the conduct of public hearings dealing with matters related to persons with disabilities. 5, utilize county resources and facilities to accumulate information for the purpose of furthering the objectives of this committee. 6, prepare and disseminate information of matters related to discrimination and prejudice. 7, formulate programs or legislation to promote and ensure independence, equal rights, and opportunities for all persons with disabilities. 8, provide liaison and assistance to county or citizen groups interested in the problems facing persons with disabilities. 9, initiate application for grants from all levels of government and private sources to carry out the purposes of the committee. And 10, serve as the county's advisory committee of Section 503 and 504 of the Rehab Act of 1973, the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990, and related rehabilitation matters. New paragraph. Please find attached the annual report of San Diego County for Persons with Disabilities for the fiscal year July 1, 2023 through June 30th, 2024, in accordance with Section 84.85, annual reports of Article 3N, in the San Diego County Code of Administrative Ordinances. Should you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact the committee chair or vice chair. Thank you for your attention and consideration, signed by Dr. Carolyn Smith.
So, is there any discussion on this document? Anybody online? So what we're gonna do is we want to put a vote so that we can sign, seal, and deliver this to Board of Supervisors. So with that being said, all those in favor of,
I need a motion.
oh, motion.
I move that we move forward with this cover letter as written.
All those in favor say aye.
I
Those opposed? Any abstains? Motion passes. Thank you very much. That is going off to the Board of Supervisors.
And then the next item is the bylaws. So I am working with our team to see if we can get the bylaws docketed for the December 10th Board of Supervisor meeting. It would probably go into the consent calendar. I've been informed that there is a large agenda for the meeting. So I have not heard back yet if we'll get it docketed in December. But if not December, then certainly January for the bylaws to get those adopted.
All right. Thank you for that, Tom. I appreciate you. Agenda item number 10, the Live Well Dance Conference.
No, this is me, yeah, hold on, it's fine. All right. Okay, so, super excited, this is tomorrow morning, and is everyone feeling good and confident about the times that they're going to be there? We all know what time we agreed to?
Why there at 7?
You know? Yes,
Good answer. No. Not like it's emergency about 7.
so I'm going to be there at 7. Does that, if we're not there immediately at 7, no one's gonna be there. You know?
Good answer. Because Kathy doesn't kick in and look.
I will be probably not talking about two.
So remind me at least the minimal expectation start time in the morning.
7:30.
7:30 it is. I know that, so for the, feel free to remind all of us, everybody who's coming, help us tomorrow.
It's
Yeah.
a lot of kinds of things. So just confirming everybody is comfortable with the times they agreed to. If you have questions, let me know. A couple of housekeeping things, bring a water bottle. If you're somebody who likes to drink water throughout the day, they do have water bottle filling stations at the center. Wear comfortable shoes, I was told, because there will be a lot of walking. I don't think this will impact anyone but me today. Overflow parking, if you can't have parking at the convention center, is gonna be at a Hilton Bayfront garage.
Tamara, can you give us the actual address of the convention center?
Yes, I sent it to you and okay. It is 111 West Harbor Drive.
Please, 111 West.
Yes.
And can you do me a favor, just so, and you may have already thought about doing this, but can you, say the names out loud with their start time, so the projected start times?
Yes, I can. So we've got Cameron and Dr. Carolyn at roughly between 7 and 7:30. And Dr. Smith, you will be there until noon.
Yes,
Is
ma'am.
when I have you.
Yep.
I will be there all day. Michelle, you are going to be there from 8 until 9 at the booth, and then out and around, I imagine, at the conference. Sue, you will be there from 9 until 10:30 at the booth, and then you will be back from 3 to 4, and you'll be at sessions in the interim. And then Jeanette, you're going to be there starting around 10:30 is when I have you until 4 o'clock for a takedown time. So,
And I'll be helping her too, but I was gonna have a conversation with you about what workshops were happening when, and the fact that time we didn't have the list.
Yeah, we finally got the list, so.
And my addendum comment is for those that are going, should we take an extra mileage? Like, I know you're doing the mileage thing.
We'll have mileage forms for you, so track your mileage.
So at the booth, you'll, Cameron will have them.
We'll have mileage forms
So
for you,
okay.
yes.
Well, I just, you know, I'll make sure, and Cameron has chocolate for us, for goodies.
I do. And since you'll be the first one there helping me canvas, you can take what you want. So.
Minus 20.
You will enter through lobby C glass doors.
What is it?
Lobby C.
Feel like you can.
And first floor?
No, it will be on the upper level. And I do have a parking pass and a map for everybody. So I'll hand those out. I also have my contact information on there. If you don't have my cell phone number, let's make sure you get it before the end of this meeting, in case anything comes up, if you need me.
So when we go, when we stop recording, people meet, next Domino's too, or something,
Yeah.
emergency pizza only.
Yeah, that would be, if I was eating the pizza, I'd be okay with it, but, not if I'm just paying for it, so.
Thanks for setting that up and putting that together. And we have, I think the law enforcement may be a partner with us. Please tell them to bring donuts because as for our law enforcement for the military side,
It's actually a requirement, I think.
yeah, donuts.
I'll make sure.
That's the first thing I did, when my first thing on patrol, I went to the donut shop, it just seemed apropos.
Yeah, it does. I like that. I'll reach out to you last minute. if they
Oh,
want.
that's a joke. You're supposed to laugh with me. Thank you very much. Any questions, comments, concerns for anybody online? Jessica, if you can make it, we'd love to see you and my baby puppy online because I adopted him.
One of the things that we did want to, because there's gonna be, we want to make sure that there's good flow of the attendees. And we're gonna have potentially two sheriff department representatives for the blue envelope program. And then potentially 1 to 2, maybe 3 representatives from the Committee for Persons with Disabilities. The Live Well Advance has asked for 2 people at the booth to avoid congestion. So we want to make sure that we're mindful that we don't have, that we're not overpopulating, just to be able to make space for people. It won't be as narrow of a hallway as it was last year. It was in a narrow hallway. They're gonna have a separate room, not room, but a separate area for the booths. So it'll be a little more spacious, but we do want people to understand.
Yeah, and I wanted to put out something that, I'm constantly reminded, disabilities, invisible disabilities, and disabilities in general can often shapeshift, throughout a day. And so my hope would be is that if somebody is at the booth and something is going on, if they just feel confident enough and safe enough to tell who is at the booth that they need to, kind of walk away for a couple minutes and decompress or whatnot. I think it's important that everyone hears me, that that's a conversation. I hope everybody is comfortable enough with each other to say, hey, look, I need to take a minute and that's, that is what it is. And you get an opportunity to step away. I constantly remind myself that to give myself the grace to say that, if I'm at an event sometimes. And so I wanted to say that to everybody who is coming or maybe considering coming, that that's something that this committee recognizes and hopes that it's helpful as you all consider participating in the future at any of the events that we need folks to be at the booth for.
And there, each table has 2 chairs, so you can sit, you don't have to stand all the time. And so I'm thinking that people can take time, sit for a while, stand for a while, et cetera. And then as well, from the standpoint of people coming to the booth, um, Jeanette, did you want to speak to sort of how we wanted to flow the game, the candy and that type of thing?
Yes, so we'll have a trivia game. So if they, we have questions that we had used at the ethics fair about invisible disabilities and disabilities in general. And if they play, they get some candy, so we engage with them that way. I think I saw the attendance is like 2,000 people. So, we're not gonna be able to engage in a lot of like deep conversations with people about maybe their personal experiences or their specific situations. I think we're gonna have a resource list if somebody has an issue and they're wanting our table to resolve it, and we obviously can't. A resource list that we can hand out to give to people who might be in a, looking for that sort of information. But I think, you know, if you've done these things before, you kind of have a sense of who's wanting to engage more and who's wanting to just get their piece of candy and head on out. And I think it's gonna be a lot of the kind of, not really drive-by, but, you know, kind of quick sort of engagements because, there's just so many people, you know, we're not gonna be able to have this in-depth conversations. We will have to sign up. Right, but true, but still with 2,000, that's a lot. That's still a lot of people, even if you get half of them that try to come by your booth. But we will, so we'll have a sign up, sheet if people are interested in learning more about the committee, applying, whatever the case may be, and then we can get back to them with more detailed information.
Because that's one of the big goals of this is, of course, the goal is to make the community-based organizations aware of the Committee for Persons with Disabilities, but as well to also get some excitement about serving on the Committee for Persons with Disabilities.
I was gonna add that, in the document that we used at the last event that we were at the booth, is it still the same document or quasi same that has the scan the barcode if you wanna
Yes.
maybe apply? Perfect.
Are we handing out things? Because I read everything is gonna be electronic and they don't want a bunch of paper floating around.
We have a
Cameron's
flyer.
got it.
We have a flyer.
Handouts.
Well, there is a handout. You know, that's a financial move, I believe, that we took, right? Because of the scan code thing.
No, they don't have
They don't have.
what you're talking about is scanning someone's badge and then getting their information and then being able to do something with it. But what we'll have is one flyer.
Okay,
Yeah, that's it. It'll be a stack of 500,000 A flyer.
thank you.
And then I think on the table, besides our awesome candy and perhaps some donuts and some lovely law enforcement officers, is going to be some blue envelope stuff, I do believe. And if you guys remember, blue envelope program is the sheriff's department. So if you see that there, when I talked to the DA last week, it is my sole focus to ensure that if somebody is picking up anything that's the blue ribbon, the sticker, the wristband, the this, the that, that they don't have to tell you, but we really want to ensure it's somebody with a disability, not, oh, cool, I get a wristband. Because that really dilutes the actual issue that is designed to take care of. So I don't, you know, we don't want random folks that are lucky enough to not have a disability walking around with a wristband. So that if you do see them,
It's not swag.
it's not swag. So if somebody is wanting to take one, I'm more apt to try and figure out that they understand this is specific to law enforcement engagement, understanding you have a disability.
I believe the sheriff department will actually be the ones that are dispensing the
I
blue envelope.
hear that, but in the event that they step away for a minute, because that happens, I want to make sure that people understand that's not, like she said, not swag.
Because the sheriff ADA unit is using this as a training opportunity for them to train their ADA unit representatives by the unit that rolled out the blue envelope program. Aye, yes,
Are they supposed to be there from 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock
yes,
at our booth?
yes.
So do we have
We
two
need more
chairs?
chairs and,
Yeah, 2 chairs plus 1?
because I had also told Cameron that I would come other times, but we needed to go through the schedule. I'm definitely gonna need chairs.
My understanding is the sheriffs will be standing. So.
Okay.
This is Jessica. Can I say something?
Yes.
Thank you. So, I appreciate the sheriffs are going to be there manning their own blue envelopes. And I just want to point out that the way that the blue envelope program is being executed in the community is that it is at the front desk of a bunch of different partnered disability organizations. It's at the front desk of each of the law enforcement agencies. It's at the front desk for adult protective services. But when somebody comes in and asks for a blue envelope or blue envelope wearables, there's absolutely no question whatsoever or any kind of discussion of if the person needs it, if they understand what it's for, if they have a disability. Anybody can walk in and ask for a blue envelope and a blue envelope wearable without having a disability. And these are some of the concerns I've had with how the blue envelope is being executed, because in the blue envelope training that Lieutenant Rowley brought to our committee for us to watch and participate in, there's discussion of blue envelope wearables helping potential prosecution for hate crimes, because it's a potential visible symbol of a disability. In reality, that's like so far from possible, because first of all, anyone in the community may or may not know what a blue envelope means, but more likely than not, they don't know, because this isn't a advertised, promulgated program. But when it comes down to whether we're responsible for making sure this stuff doesn't get taken by people who have disabilities, nobody is doing that, not even law enforcement themselves.
A whole nother discussion, and it's a great one to have, and it's one I had with the DA about a week ago. And I'd like to continue that conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Absolutely. So any other questions, comments, concerns for the Livewell Advance Conference?
I just had thought they had their,
They know, they're an ally, they're a partner.
yeah, but I'm just saying that, again, if we have people staffing, that takes up the space of.
We only have one person on, I mean, we have a little bit of overlap here and there, but that person is more than welcome to either stay at the booth or walk, or those chairs are for us. The law enforcement will sort their chair out. So they're not taking a chair from us. They're a partner with us, and they're gonna partner themselves a chair somewhere.
Yeah, I agree with, when you said they're gonna be here until 4, that.
No, I agree. But yeah, so Cameron knows fabulous law enforcement folks. Thanks for hanging out with us. Go find your own chair. Yeah.
Cameron, have not ever parked. There's underground parking underneath the convention center.
There is.
There is.
And is it gonna be clearly, because I looked online at all the stuff a couple of times. I don't see where the entrance to the garage. And I'm just,
It's right, it's between B and C, so when you get to the convention center, It's set up as area, section A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. It goes down to H at this point, on Harbor. So A starts at the west end, which is right by the Hyatt Hotel, and it goes all the way down to H, which is by the Hilton Hotel on the east end.
And
Right across by the park.
Park Boulevard.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the entrance is between B and C to get into the garage. And it says parking.
Yeah, and literally when you drive, it's like the Die Hard part of the movie where the truck's all, that's exactly. You're welcome for.
You'll want to get there early because I think, the overflow parking, what was it with overflow parking?
Yeah, the paper, garage, those paper. But
You know, I'm getting there about 9. I can't get there. I threw my house at 8. That's it. I can't do it anymore. It's a crapshoot. I get that. Distance is not an issue as much as can I get in it and where the heck do I get in it? And, I won't know until I get there if there's accessible spots left or not.
And what you can do is, Cameron's gonna make sure everybody has their phone number, but you can also text, myself or Jeanette if you're trying to left, right, not sure. So that's always an option to do.
It's good if there's knowing people. I'll figure it out. I just like to know as much ahead of time. And then it also said I had to show the parking attendant my app.
The pass, the parking pass.
I have the
So
app.
she has it in her hand.
Oh, you're
I printed it, so you don't have to.
Yeah.
Oh, well, even better.
So
Well,
like,
like pulling
see
out
that Cameron was holding up the parking pass that she's gonna hand out to each of us.
Unusual.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't know that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
We said it earlier.
Okay. Well, I screwed up, didn't I, Michelle?
No, you're awesome. All right. Okay, so, we are gonna go on to agenda item 11, which is our new business, ADA accommodation request process with IHSS.
So those are for, future agenda items, that's all
Right.
it is.
That's gonna be a future agenda item, okay, just so you know.
What?
Can I clarify really quickly on that? That was supposed to be IHSS and BHS Behavioral Health Services. And also just to clarify the terminology, it wasn't specifically about ADA accommodation request process. It's about the ADA interactive process, which is not only requesting, but having an ongoing file that's adaptive, and the coordination process between the individual or the agency, or in this case, department. So I just want to clarify, it's IHSS and BHS, in-home supportive services and behavioral health services, and it's an ADA interactive process.
Okay, interactive process.
Yes, Susan.
Thank you.
You're the best.
So that's what it needs to be shown as.
Thank you, Jessica, for that. Do we have any more new business?
I was gonna ask, we tabled the, OES, Office of Emergency Services. Is that still going to be a future agenda?
Yes,
Okay, and I had, emailed Todd. I get an ADA, Access and Functional Needs newsletter from the State Office of Emergency Services. Good letter, always. And it said, that they're really encouraging all jurisdictions to get and have, and I believe the county has one, but I wanted to clarify that for our committee. An Access and Functional Needs Advisory Committee for their OES department. So I can just ask, Daniel when he comes, or I thought maybe we could all know that and he could know that, so that when he comes, he could address that. Because I am interested in that. whether or
And
not.
that was an email you sent to me?
To you.
Okay, I'll check.
I think it's,
I'm familiar with the Access and Functional Needs Network. I
Yeah.
serve on it, so, and I'm the AFN coordinator for the Office of.
Yeah.
Well, what you're speaking about is something that, to my understanding, is not in place, an AFN advisory committee. I believe the Office of Emergency Services looks to the Committee for Persons with Disabilities as an opportunity to provide input on access and functional needs as an emergency. And they've presented a couple of times to the committee and are looking to present. It's no longer Daniel, it's actually gonna be, well, it may change as who the presenter is, but we're working on that.
Okay, good to know, and I'm surprised, and that's fine, but we need to know, and they need to know. The county of San Diego is very large, and, I don't think it's been around for a long, long time. This kind of, group of access and functional needs advisory. So, that's good. Well, we'll learn more, and there we go. Thank you.
Sure, no, thank you.
Anyone else with new business before we wrap this up? Anybody online? Jessica?
The only thing that I would like to add is I also have an interest with the Office of Emergency Services because I recently did a round of public records requests from some of the different cities who have their 911 operational in the form of you call 911, the city hired dispatcher answers, and then they either funnel it to police or paramedics or both. And the public record request was any policies, procedures, or trainings for people with disabilities, dependent adults, seniors, and one other thing. And the response I got back from a municipality was that all of their EMS trainings are dictated by the county Office of Emergency Services, and including what they believe that there is not a service animal component to that, but I haven't been able to confirm that. And then lastly, they do a biannual neuropsych training out of the Office of Emergency Operation Services. Sorry, my brain's getting tired. So if they are coming to present, I would be very interested in learning more about what I just said to you guys.
Let me add to that a little bit. I was with Red Cross and worked with OES some, and they do an excellent training, and they have a great module. They rolled out a new process probably about a year ago, and the CERT people are doing it in all parts of the county, and also other staff from OES. And it's very, very robust, the one I saw. And I'm sure they can be able to brief us on that. And they'll do it upon request as well. Or like the community services or, whoever.
Kevin, you got anything for us before we?
Now I'll give you my number and the parking classes after we start recording.
Katie?
No, we're good.
Anybody online? These folks going once, going twice?
I didn't know if you wanted to, did you want to have the people online sort of speak or introduce themselves or anything like that?
I don't, Absolutely. I'm sorry for the love of all that isn't nice. If you are online, please feel free to chime in and introduce yourself so we know who attended today. Sorry about that. Thanks, Tom. Laura, I see.
Hi, yes, Laura here, Laura Hansel. I live in San Diego and I was just very interested in what the committee is up to. I was looking for ways to get more involved. I'm a disabled professional and have that lived experience. And I think in coming years, it's going to be more important to focus on local issues. Very happy to be here, though, and enjoyed the conversation very much.
The thing is, you'd like to consider to be part of the board of super or committee. So you're going to contact Todd Hood here, and or actually you're going to contact your board of supervisor representative and let them know you are super duper interested in being on the board, so that you can, in your advocacy, assist us and assist the board of supervisors to make the San Diego County a better place for persons with disabilities.
That actually sounds fabulous. I have a lot of legislative background. I'm a non-practicing lawyer. And yeah, I just want to learn more and make the community better for everybody. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Again, the way it usually is, feel free to reach out to myself or Todd or Jeanette, of course, the executive staff. But really the way you go about it is you simply call or email your board of supervisor within your district, let them know that you are interested in being nominated for the Persons with Disabilities Advisory Committee, and they will tell you how to do that. So as you can see, we're quite thin on the board, and we would love to have you come on board and share this awesome experience with us.
Well, thank you very much. You all have been incredibly welcoming. So I really appreciate it. And it says a lot about the committee's work.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. See, Todd, this is why I have you, because you remind me of things so I completely forget.
Lucius is there.
We have
Phyllis?
one
It
other.
looks like Phyllis.
Hi, I'm Phyllis. I work with lived experience advisors for about 3 years now. And so I met Jessica, and Jessica has introduced me to you guys, and I'm very interested in being involved as well as a person with disabilities.
So what I hear you saying, Phyllis,
Yes,
what you want to do is you want to contact your board of supervisors within your specific
right,
district and call them or
right.
let them know you would like to be nominated for a board position for your districts.
Well, you don't really need to, you can do that, and I would say, certainly online, you can just apply anytime. And, it's on under the city of, under San Diego County, they have a boards and commission, links. And they'll talk to you about the board, they'll list all the boards and committees, including us.
Yeah, don't look at all the other ones.
The
Look at us.
committee for persons with disabilities, and you can read about us, what our mandate is, what we do. And then, I believe there's an application process right there online.
Okay,
That's why I have you too. See?
great, thank you.
That was
Thank
fantastic.
you.
Absolutely. So, congratulations again, Susan, for coming on as executive secretary for us. Thank you, Cameron, for your continued help with the Livewell experience. Of course, thanks to Todd and Katie. Katie's going to leave us very soon, sad face. Thanks everybody for joining in online. I see we do have one chat. I don't want to miss it before we end.
It was a smiley face for me.
Faces are good.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, thank you for participating. We look forward to having you back or obviously on board. Thanks so much. Have a fantastic Thanksgiving. And with that, I do adjourn this meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's 4:41. I'm so excited.